I'm just going to sort of spend time talking less of myself. You can find me in all my, I kind of put it up. You can find me on my retake.com. You can find me on my book landing page called the AdultLearningArch.com, where I have a whole bunch of video blog. They're basically all YouTube videos which I've organized of every talk that I've done. I basically just summarize them and stick them in there. There's also a lot of art-related stuff where whenever I do a sketch or something like that, I kind of put it up as well. That's what I do. I enjoy it a lot, and because I'm also an engineer, so I like all my gadgets. My house full of dead devices. I think you guys will all recognize that. So things like that where I kind of and play to basically complete my mission in life, so to speak. My mission in life is to change how adults learn. That's my mission in life. And I'll kind of talk through a little bit about why that impacts how I could perhaps help you a little bit in your own journey of learning. I won't show all this, otherwise it's very distracting. You can go check it out, right? And so that's basically the site. My LinkedIn, happy to connect with you on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Of course, Facebook as well. I use it a lot. On all my art stuff, I post a lot of this stuff. Okay, so back to this. So in 2012, I had the luxury of taking a year of work. Who would like to take a year of work? Now, who has done the 1 year of work? Okay, not so easy. So I had the luxury of doing it, and I had also the motivation as well. Because I in my head, I'm like, I've always addicted to learning, and whatever I touch, I dive right in, and I'm sort of really into it, right? And I sort of have a theory around how to be efficient and effective around learning. I wanted to test it on myself, so I had a two choice. I could be a DJ, or I could be an artist. So I picked art, because I couldn't draw. I really couldn't draw. I had a friend who worked in Goldman Sachs, and he was laughing at me and said, drawing? You nuts. I've known you since you were 7, you cannot draw. But of course, now, one of my painting, this one, sits very proudly in his study. And despite the fact that I've known him for so many years, I made him pay for it because he laughed at me. So anyway, so the book is really, I'll say, let's start with this, right? I have this idea that people can learn more efficiently and effectively, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. And in order to do that, there must be some kind of architecting process, engineering, that you can apply consistently and across all the things that you do. Be it trying to start a business, or be it trying to be an art consultant, be it trying to be an artist, or be more creative in your life, or whatever it may be, right? There must be some secret sauce. Well, as I found out, hard work and all that are still needed, but I did think that there's a bit of secret sauce in it, so that's what I'm going to share with you. I have the architecting model, and then we'll talk through it. Why do I call it adult learning as opposed to kids learning? The difference is students and kids, they can be externally motivated. I mean, young kids, they can be given some motivation and some sort of bribe, if you like, right? As parents, you might know that there are ways to bribe kids, but adults, it's very hard. You can't spank an adult to learn more, right? It doesn't work that way. Although somebody in China recently tried that and it kind of bombed. If you read the social media posting on that, that's the reason why I call it adult, because motivation is very different. We got to deal with motivation. Architecture, because if you take a step back, instead of saying buying a book like mine, which I hope you'll do, you'll find in Kino and Times, the best bookstore in town. It's not just about like buying a book, read it, and then you become an expert. Or it's not like I buy a bicycle and suddenly I'm a cyclist, right? It's really about how you take a step back and try to take a look from a bigger picture, and then try to see whether you can architect your own learning. Right? So the word architecture comes from the fact that you're taking a step back and you're trying to take a bigger picture approach to it. So let me just go straight in, right? The process consists of 4 stages, 3 processes, and 5 elements. This is very engineering. I'm an engineer, so this is how I think, right? But like a chef, you need to think about the ingredient that goes into your cooking. you also think of the recipe that is about how you are actually learning, right? And then you got to think of your certification that you go through from no star to 1 star to 3 star to Michelin recognition or whatever it is. So this is kind of like the roadmap of learning, and I'm trying to break it down in that sense. Let me start with the elements because this is the easiest of it all. The first element is mind. This is easy. I'm a mind first learner, right? Sorry, this is not. Thank you for pointing it out. Let me snatch that back. Doesn't work. Okay. Not sure why, but I won't fight the tech bit of it. I'll just go with it. So mind first learner is really about filling the mind with knowledge, talking to mentors, like coming to session like this, reading a book. I'm a mind first learner, so when I wanted to be an artist, guess what I did? I went to Amazon, looked up all the best books on art. I shipped 140 books, arrived at my house. I still remember it was end of the year 2011. My wife asked me what was this. I said my new hobby. She was shocked because we probably need a new bookshop. But that's how I learn. I'm a mind first learner. Mind, not necessarily reading book. It's about getting knowledge, right? So that's the first thing. We also need to have the right mindset. If you have not read this book by Professor Carol Dweck, please go get it. Do yourself a favor, go read the book. It's a fantastic, fantastic book. It's about having the growth mindset rather than the fixed mindset. The growth mindset says, if I'm not an artist, that's because I haven't been trained, I haven't been drawing, I haven't been taught how to be creative. I will get there. I'm just not there yet. The fixed mindset says, talent is born. If you're not born with it, forget it, you're not going to get it. Even if you put 10,000 hours, you're not going to get there. So, fixed mindset say, why bother, right? So, but let me go back to the second elements of learning. Motivation. I put up slides of grave and gravestone. So the question really is this, right? What's your motivation in life? What's ultimately would you like to have on your gravestone? I did a similar brown bag session at work about a couple of years back, and I asked the young kids, some of them are younger than me, and I said, look, what would you like to get out of, what's your brand? And they say, well, I'm a consultant, I teach other people to be financially more, savvy in the way they run business and so on and so forth. I said, well, would you like to have that craft in your tombstone? And they say, well, no, not really. So go back and think about it, right? So this guy, he was very clever. He came back the next week and he said, I want to be a legend. I said, well, okay, you're early 30s, you're not quite there in legend. I think if you print a name card and you call it legend, I think that probably will be a bit of an issue with carrying. You don't have the gravitas to carry legend. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to get there. Eventually, at some point, all of us are in between this point called birth and death, right? Hopefully, no one else is outside this realm. But anyway, right? This is after all, like-minded. So, but we are at this point called now, and your brand is really a culmination of all the experiences you've had. If you've started business, you've made your money, or you've not, and you have whatever it is, right? You've done. The brand that you have is culmination of all those experiences coming into that brand calling you, whatever your name is, right? Okay, you can be a salesman, you push it a little bit ahead of you, right, directionally, and make it into a brand that is a little bit ahead of you, right? So you're very good at sales, you might call yourself a superb sales director, right? You carry that. So in some ways, the brand evolves based on the experience. In some ways, the brand is something that you got to think about as well to develop. It's a directionally that you can shape, right? So the way I see it, the motivation that you have to learn something needs to be aligned to the brand that you're trying to create. If you're trying to learn something that's not aligned to your brain, why bother? We are so short a lifetime, and we have 24/7. Why do you want to learn Shanghainese? Okay, I'm making a joke of a friend of mine who said she wanted to learn Shanghainese. I said, why? She said, well, my cousins are all Shanghainese. When I go back, I like to, communicate with them in Shanghainese. Is that just nice to have or really desperate? Well, they speak Mandarin, so we communicate, so there's really no need. So there's really no need to learn Shanghainese, so don't bother, right? So you have to think about what you're learning and where your brand is going and what's the motivation, and think about ultimately what that is going to etch on your, So I give you a couple of examples. I like to learn photography, and the reason why I learn photography is because I want to leave a world-class set of memory for my daughter. I have only one, when I'm no longer around. So I want to leave memory, best money can buy in terms of images of the family life and of her and so on. So that drives the way I buy my gear. Portrait lens, best camera I could afford. That changes my behavior when we go to holiday, because I have to lug around this 40 kilogram worth of equipment everywhere, right? That changes my learning, because every time I pick up a book on photography or landscape, I put it down. Photography or portrait, I pick it up. That changes the way I learn, because everything is driven by this central, clear clarity of why I'm here. The reason why I write the book and the reason why I took a year off is very simple too, because I am taking a year off to change people's life. That's my motivation and mission in life. I want to help other people learn. I want to help you learn as individual and as a society, because I think the brain is under tap, and therefore most critical thing that we need to be doing is really about changing our efficiency and effectiveness in learning. So that's why, so now I've articulated my mission or my vision of why I'm doing certain things and why I learn. So in the same way, if you're saying, oh, I'm learning photography, why? Because it's a fad. I'm playing Pokemon Go and I want to be a better Pokemon shape. Okay, I don't know, but what's the motivation? If you're playing Pokemon and because your children is playing and you want to spend time and have more quality time going around in parks, I salute you, because you're very clear on what you're trying to do. So now you do it whether you play Pokemon Go or not. You see what I'm trying to say? So the second element based on my architecture says, first is mind. Can't see it. Can I sharpen it a bit? Can you see better? Yes. Okay. The second is muscle. The third is motivation. I covered motivation, but let me cover muscle. Muscle is easy, right? If you want to learn to be a cyclist, what do? You wake up on Saturday morning, you go cycle with a bunch of cyclists or whatever it is, right? But more than that, it's also your behavior. Take a look at your iPhone or your Samsung or whatever phone that you have on your calendar. Do you consistently put priority over what you're trying to do? Does your behavior change? When you go to travel and holidays, do you lug around the camera that you said you are trying to learn to be better photographer? Do you do that? I don't know. But you're going to have consistency in the motivation, the learning through the mind, and your behavior and muscle must also change. Those are things that consistently has to be aligned. So those are the three things I mentioned, right? So membership, this one we don't really talk a lot about, right? Because we think learning is just about the mind. But actually learning is more than that. If you think about membership, the reason why I think of myself as a IT senior professional, blah, blah, and I joined, guess what? Singapore Computer Society, right? It's a membership. I want to learn to better, speak, or at least when I retire, I can have a speaking gig on the side. So if I want to do something about it, guess what I joined? I joined a group called the APSS, Asia Professional Speakers Singapore. That's a society of speakers who have made it as a professional, and I learned from them, and therefore I could learn little tricks about different things, right? That's a membership thing. If I want to be an artist, guess what? You have to hang out with the artists, right? So the group that I hang out with is called the Urban Sketches Singapore, and you can look them up. It's a very big group. I'm quite active in that. I post in it quite often. The Urban Sketches Singapore meet every Saturday morning, once a month, last Saturday of the month. Last Saturday of the month. So what do? We go out there and sketch. That's it. For no other reason than sketch. I have stolen so many ideas and good ideas and tips and tricks and tools about, oh, you're using that stuff, or wow, that's a technique of interpreting the roof in Singapore. That's a color you use to put to signify the orange in Singapore's roof, or that's how you do shadows under the tree. That's how all these little tricks was because I was painting next to somebody who knew better than me. Right? So membership is so important. That's the reason why you're here, because you want to have like-minded people and learning from each other. It's not just about one-way traffic, right? It's about an exchange of idea and growing as a human being or growing as your individual. So that's the fourth thing. The last thing is matter, material world. We don't live in a vacuum. We're not hermits. So we're going to look at the world around us and design it. If you don't design it, it will design you, right? I tell this story to fellow artists. I'm not sure how many of you paint, but if you're into oil painting, for example, you have your easel set up. By the time you put up your canvas, you put up your turpentine, and you put up your colors, and you kind of like 30% energy dispense and you are semi-exhausted and you send out, okay, well done, we take 1 hour gone and I'm just haven't put my, I'm about to put my first. So, if you don't have the studio set up, you will struggle against it. So the idea is, two things you have to think about. The first one is the Japanese garden. I don't mean literally you have to buy a Japanese garden and be there to meditate. I mean, the thing about the Japanese garden of trying to achieve your learning objective, right? Which of course is part of a tactical plan to achieve your life mission. But where is the Japanese garden? So to me, when I was working next to Raffles City, my Japanese garden was Raffles Hotel. I walk over, there's a nice courtyard, I have my cup of coffee, I have my email, I'm reading some of the most important things, I'm thinking through, I'm relaxing, I'm clearing my mind, I'm just, breathing, right? So that's the Japanese garden for me. Today I take long walks in lunch when I don't have plans like this. I take a walk, I take the MRT down one stop and then I walk a bit and take the MRT back, and have a quick bite. But in between, that's my Japanese garden, right? I don't know what your Japanese garden is. For the artist, the Japanese garden could be a little divide where you put up your easel, is always there. You don't spend 30% of your time setting it up. But the moment you start painting, right? Your energy is dispensed towards getting to your objective and goal of learning. And that's the physical space. The second thing is tools, right? Oftentimes, we don't really think about tools in the way we ought. We think of tools as just like, happens chance, right? But tools need to be designed. One of the biggest lessons I learned about 2 years or 3 years ago, one of Chinese New Year, I went to visit a very respected artist. Name is Chan Chang Hao. I call him Master Chan. And we were just talking and looking through his 50 years of drawing, like nice willow trees next to the Singapore River. Now they're all gone, they're all nice development now. But it was just amazing pieces of pencil work after pencil work. Then somehow we went to a discussion around how we hold a pencil. And I show him how I hold my pencil and say, oh, actually you hold your pencil wrong. 40 over years holding pencil wrong. I fell on my chair and said, it can't be, right? How can you hold a pencil wrong? Well, he showed a pencil needs to be, kind of like chopstick. Right? You hold a pencil like chopstick. It's light, but yet firm, and it's like, it's able to give you the sort of touch that you need to. You can make very small, little sort of gesture with your pinky on the board, right? Like this. Or you can hold a very, very big martial art-like move, doing very large circle with a pencil, right? And within the tool, that's your sort of biorhythm that you can do. So it was a lessons in tool, because you think about the tools that you have, your computer, your phone, your whatever software tools or hardware tools or whatever that you have. If it's not aligned to what you're trying to do and it's maximized and make efficient and effective, then you are really not getting the best out of your learning, right? So let me just summarize by saying that at the end of the day, the 5 elements are individual parts of it. There's the mind, there's the muscle, there's the motivation that underpins it, there's the material world, and there's membership. So all these 5 things. We learn by individually attacking them. We actually ultimately need to get to a stage where we are putting them together in such a way that they are synthesized. So let me describe this to you. If you're a National Geographic photographer, you carry your gear up the mountain where the volcano is about to erupt. You're about to wait for that. You have your caddies, you have all your gears, your tools, your everything is sort of set, right? That one click, that one click to take that photograph. It's kind of like Joseph Schooling, that how many seconds that he spent in the pool winning that medal, right? It's like Ong Kim Seng, our best watercolor race in Singapore, painting over 30 minutes, something that you could sell for $5,000 after that. It's not that 50 seconds, it's not that one click, it's not that 30 minutes of painting. It's not. It's a lifetime of achievement. It's the battling of the the bureaucracy. It's you know what I mean. It's all the blood. We call it blood, right? It's first one to go through. That's it's that sweat of 10,000 hours. It's that discipline. It's all that stuff coming together. You understand what I mean? If you're building a business, you know what I mean, right? It's all this stuff that you have been putting your sweat, right? And you're going for that glory of the moment. Well, it's not really a moment glory. For the individual that goes through it, yeah, but for spectators, sure. Turn on the telly, watch the goal, yay, and switch it off, right? And you can, tweet about it. It's not that. So the question is, if you learn your mind, that's not learning. If you just change some behavior, that's not learning. If you join some society, that's still not learning. If you change your tool, buy some gadgets, and it's still not learning. Well, what's learning? Well, learning is when all these things come together. I call it synthesis, right? It's a synthesis. You need to synthesize them. So the pencil that I now have to change the way I draw with a pencil, it's linked to my muscle. The muscle is linked to my mind. My muscle matter has to fuse into one. You came here without thinking which leg moved first, right? If you come to my car or public transport, did you remember which leg touched the ground as you walk? No, you didn't. Why? Because it's on autopilot. It's a subroutine. We need to get to a phase where it's subroutine. So one of the things when I teach drawing as a way of learning about yourself, I say, take the pencil or pen that you have, draw lines that non-stop, feel the paper, feel. I mean, I literally mean feel the edge, the tip of the pencil against the paper. I want you to feel it, because that's a sensation that none of us, if we've ever been taught, we've never taught how it feels like. That feeling will get you started on this, what I call synthesis, because you're now beginning to have the pencil melted into your arm, melted into your mind. See what I'm trying to say? That synthesis is what you need to achieve in learning. In every aspect, mind changing behavior, behavior changing membership, membership changing the tools that you have, vice versa. Every single one of these 5 elements has relationship with each other. And you gotta find that fusing and synthesis. Now, once you have done synthesizing, you need to simplify. Because ultimately, when you're performing, you need to get rid of it. The tools that you have used to test out your ideas and stuff, you need to shed them. The complex theories, that you have learned, you've got to start forgetting it. Because ultimately, if you're going to take that photograph, you're not going to be helped by all this aperture setting, lens theory. Doesn't help you. I mean, the fact that I'm into the speaking gig kind of thing, and I'm trying to learn I've got all these gears on, audio equipment. We're just talking about it before we start. Ultimately, I just need to simplify to one thing that works. And that simplification process is very hard. Why? Because some smart guy said this, right? Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. It is. When you have simplified your life, you have somehow come closer to mastery. Although mastery is hard, I would say, it's not an easy thing. Mastery is actually a very, very hard thing to do. When you're performing at that level, you don't think about your tools. You don't think about the theories in your head. You take a camera, you snap, right? You jump in the pool, you swim, right? Whatever you want to do, right? And so I think in the same way when you're operating a business and so on, all these pieces need to come together. You just need, ultimately, to be that person, I think. That person that you're meant to be, but it is a journey to get there. So how is this going to help you? You might ask me, well, great theory, great speech we take, but it's not really helpful, and my time is up. So let me tell you this. When you're stuck at a gutter of where you are trying to go, you can think of the 5 elements as starting point to reconfigure it. So let's say, for example, in my art, I find myself hitting a plateau of some sort. And so what do? I got 5 things I can tweak. I can tweak my motivation, I can tweak my tools, which means buy some new gadgets for some of us. We can tweak membership, we join new groups of new ideas. We can change our behavior. Instead of painting in the morning on Saturday, we can paint at night or midnight. We can change our mind. We can go buy some new ideas or books or hang out with some new mentor to figure out new things. Those are all 5 different ways. I call it different approaches to learning. I am a mind-first learner. Some of you may not be. Doesn't matter. The 5 things are the ones that you can take. And my advice to you is that, and when you're stuck in something, use those 5 M to think about which one you need to reconfigure, to upgrade or change, so that you can then take your journey to the next level. I think that's the first step. The second step is that which of these elements can you fuse better so that you can perform at the next level, right? So in my book, I talk about thinking through some of these things. And then finally, if you think you have sort of mastered some of these, which of these need to be simplified so that they go on autopilot? And when you're on autopilot, you live. That's the ultimate goal. And that is what I would say that the whole adult learning architecture is all about, is to help myself, you guys, learn better. Thank you very much. I'll take questions.
Thanks, Nick. Today is not like a startup, so you can take
Obviously, I didn't cover all the stuff that I did.
By the way, one of my friends, how we say, the who was that? One of the best watercolor, in Singapore.
We differ in our aesthetic opinions.
Yeah.
There are two.
Kim Sing is not the best watercolor.
Oh dear. Okay, alive probably is the word I need to add. There are two dolphins in Singapore. What's the dolphin? The biggest accolade for watercolor is the American Watercolor Society, of which quite a number of Singaporean artists are belonging to that exclusive club. There are two dolphins. Dolphins are the top of the top. Ong Kim Seng is one, the other one is Woon Lam. Anyway, we can differ on that, but sure. Yeah, both are people I know, so. Yeah.
We think what you're doing is very interesting to me because we also do a lot on adult learning. And you're absolutely right, motivation is one of the key things.
Yeah.
So is motivation one of the five elements?
Yes.
It's one of them.
It is, but it's the base element.
It's the base element,
Yeah.
so you put it on the vertical.
Yeah, I put it in both ways. I put it here, as well as I put it on a driver's seat in this case, right? Okay. The reason why I say that is because you can do all the things right, but if your motivation is wrong, then what you find is that your feel will get you not very far. You will kind of waylay by it after a while because your motivation is unclear. Want to be a good photographer, so you buy a DSLR, right? And how many DSLR that we know collect dust, right? Because your motivation is not clear enough. And if you clarify that clarity of why you're doing it, then that becomes a fuel and motivation. Why you wake up 5 in the morning, why you are doing extra 2 hours at night, for whatever the reasons that you can only clarify for yourself. So that to me is quite important.
Yeah. You're right.
So
it's
motivation.
quite clear that you have engineering mind.
I'm electrical engineer by
the tool and
training.
all that.
Yeah.
Where's the soul in all this?
It's still in motivation. Because ultimately, if you look at where you're heading in terms of motivation, you are a person built for relation. You're a person built to have a meaning in life, in this life. So until you find that, you'll be restless. That's the way I see it. So, yes, you can start your learning journey, sure. But at some point, you need to reconcile why you're doing it. And that has got to be the reason of being, right? And to me, I help people think through that. A lot of times I talk to a lot of mentoring sessions or whatever. I sit down and talk through, you're doing this great, fantastic, great, but let's bring back to the, you need all of them to fire. Motivation being one of the key ones to get it right.
Okay. You see, the problem is we tend to see people who are operating in the lack. That means not ideal situations, just achieving a lot more than people who are affluent and have all the matter that they can actually lay their hands on.
Yeah.
So how does your theory support that?
I think it's the same. I mean, look, if there'll be people who like to compare what they have, and I don't compare what I have. I mean, I don't necessarily look at my own career, where I stand. That necessarily motivates me in that sense, material world. I like to say, well, you great, fantastic camera that you have. Let's see your composition, right? What I'm saying is that if you want to compare achievement in life, you got to look at all five. What motivates you? Is it altruistic or how have you developed your mind? Have you shared with others and become mentors, right? Have you amassed a bunch of tools, but have you shared it with the world? Have you created membership that you receive a lot from, but at the same time you have also given, right? How much have you given in your life to? I mean, I'm doing all this not because I'm paid, right, Chuck? But I'm doing it because I really believe that I can change the world by changing individuals that I come across, right? And of course, it's that, and I think that's the beauty of it. My message is actually very simple. You can learn better and have a think and architecting your own approach. Think through the 5 elements, think through the synthesis, think through the simplification, and think through the reason why you're learning. And I can tell you a lot of people has never even done it. They've done meandering, right? Yeah. I actually have a story I kind of skipped, and that is about this, Robinson Crusoe. How did he know that he was an island, right? I kind of cut short. So how do you know he was an island? 3 major questions he has to solve, right? First, he has to walk around, find an island. Oh, no one's here. So first question is, where's water? Because without water, 2 days, he's probably going to die. Fresh water, that is. Second, where's food? If no food, 2 months, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, I don't know, he's going to start suffer. Third, where's shelter, right? So there's order of priority in the way that he has to solve the problems that he's facing him. The problem is when you start learning something, you didn't know, you picked up a book, you read, you think that's learning. You want to learn cycling, you buy a bicycle, you start cycling away, that you call it learning. Well, it's not. It's not. You need to think about the architecture of what you're trying to do, and that's then learning. And learning ultimately gets to the goal of who you want to be ultimately in your life. That's the reason why of being, right?
Yeah, following what you say, it is my strong advocacy that learning for today is best done with a mentor.
Always. Membership is so important.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in membership, then you will misfire on one of the 5 pillars. And membership is either through learning from others through their writing and then engaging in person and talking. I believe in that. I think it is. Yesterday I was, later I'll be seeing a mentor at 6 p.m., 6 to 7. I have 1 hour to talk about my long-term plan, speaking as a business. He's a global speaker. He speaks in 60 countries, global, blah, blah, blah. He's going to spend his time for free for me, an hour. I'm going to grab it, right? And there'll be people like that all around you. Look for them. They are called mentors for a reason. They most of the time they do it for the fact that you are also going to mentor them back in some ways, right? But it's mutual, it's symbiosis to some extent. But you got to take advantage of it. If you think you can be a hermit and learn, I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. Yeah.
Actually, I find the stuff you're talking about is cerebral as well. The concept is sound. How do you take someone who is outside of this kind of thinking and bring them in? Because I think that the challenge is not the logic is all there. Lifelong learning, everything makes sense.
Yeah.
Once you get it, you get it. But how do you get someone who's not on that?
So a course that I'm developing at the moment, I'll be running it soon, hopefully in some near future, is what I call learning how to learn through learning art. So one of the first thing I try to get people to do is, like I said, you take a pencil, a fresh sheet of paper, and you draw a line non-stop. And what you're trying to do is not to draw something that you've been taught in kindergarten, but rather feel the edge and tip of the pencil. The reason for that is because you're now beginning to see that actually artists don't necessarily look at the drawing when they are drawing. They are actually looking at the drawing and they're drawing. By the time you finish, they're looking for the first time. It's the finished product. The reason is because they feel the pencil. And that's because the pencil, which is a tool, which is a matter, has fused into the muscle, and that has fused into the mind. And they have already simplified to say, give me a line, give me a light line, give me a thick line, give me a line of 2 inches thereabout, give me a ratio of this for a box, give me a slanted shadow, give me a... And that subconscious routine that's happening in their head as they are drawing, it's that. And the first exercise really is to connect you to the world in some ways, right? The mind, muscle, and the matter. And so it can be very cerebral. This 1 hour is definitely very cerebral if you spend an hour to talking through it. But the moment I get you to touch a pencil and draw and observe, because many people think drawing is about your hand. Absolutely wrong. Drawing is about your eye. It's about observation. You cannot draw what you cannot see. That's why everybody draw bicycle in 2 perfect circles. But if you look around, nothing is in circle. Everything that is circled is in oval. You look at the Coca-Cola can or whatever it is, they are always oval. So why do we draw circle more than oval? We should be drawing more ovals. But artists do draw more ovals than circles because they observe, not because they know how to draw. They observe first, right? My daughter, there's a video in my blog. She drew the Majestic Hotel somewhere in Bukit Pasoh area. And a few weeks later, there was an exhibition by another artist draw the same thing. And she commented when she was looking at it 2 weeks later, I said, "Oh, Daddy, she didn't draw the pipe and she didn't draw the lamp." I said, "How do you know?" "Because I drew it." I rest my case. Observation is key. Yeah. So to connect to the real world, that's how.
So if that's the case, right? I mean, I know you as a friend because I know you take photographs, right? So it becomes a relatively natural progression, right? Because painting is about observation, right?
Yeah.
So
Photography as well.
Yeah. So correct. So but your training was at photography, is it?
Yeah.
So it transposed into your painting.
Yeah.
But there are people who are learning completely new stuff. For example, piano, right?
Yeah.
No musical inclination, right?
Yeah.
So how am I going to try? Like Joe's
Yeah.
question, right?
Yeah.
How do I move onto the piano at all? Is it?
I play the piano. I've been blessed with a upbringing that allows me to explore a lot of these things as a child. But to be honest, all these topics are cross-related. So I give you an example where I found music and photography cross, right? So my daughter is into gymnastics. She takes a lot of gymnastics. So I go and take all these, gymnastics like Howie, right? If you're listening, Howie, you take a lot more than me. But the fact is, I found music in that because if you're going to take good gymnastic photograph, guess what? It's when the leg is stretched out the most. That tip, it's like a can, that it's not in between. It's that one tip, or it's like when the leg is stretched out the most. It doesn't happen and wait for you to take a snap. It happens and it's over, right? So when you're taking a photograph, you gotta aim for I call it the rhythm of photography. Bang, 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 bang. That's rhythm, right? If you don't have music background, you're gonna take bad gymnastic photograph. Hear that, Howie? So my point is, they are absolutely interrelated. All the discipline that you grew up with, you gotta find ways to fuse them, right? Be it maths and photography and art, be it, I can go on and on and on. I found so many correlationships, it's not even funny. When I talk about, for example, as a consultant, I speak a lot to clients, right? It's amazing. I played in a band for a while. That has helped me in my performances in front of clients. Trust me, I closed deals because of that. So has band playing helped my pitch in the client? Absolutely. Anyway, I rest my case. So. Like I said, I go on and on. Chuck knows that.
How is the question? It says that Singaporeans are often said to be not hungry enough.
Yeah.
So what are the ways to increase personal motivation? And Harish got a follow-up question. It says, is it about being hungry, or is personal motivation about curiosity as well?
Yeah, I think ultimately we are taught tactics in school, right? We are taught maths, we are taught science, but we're never really taught how to learn as a subject. I mean, how many of you have gone to school where they teach how to learn as a subject? Or how many have taken summer courses about mind mapping and stuff like this? Actually, if you push that further, it comes to a stage where we actually need to find ourselves first. Finding ourselves, and hence I start with a question of motivation, because if you have not found yourself, your fuel is going to be half empty or just a little bit. It won't carry you very far. Why are you doing maths? Well, I'm not sure, because I get an A for A-level, O-level. Okay. That motivation carry you so far, but then not further, right? Why is there no love for maths after school? Why is there no love for piano after the grade 8 exam? Why is there no love for, you keep going. I think we need to first find and teach our kids why is motivation important and how they can shape and have that motivation come back to shape mind, shape tools, shape their environment, shape their friends and membership and so on, right? Think of schooling. It was passion that carried him through. He could have burned out, right? If he didn't have that passion of where he wants to go, I think he wouldn't go that far, right? Now even Michael Phelps struggled with it after London, right? So yeah, I think Singaporean kids, I think should not be taught just the tactic of learning, but they really need to go back and think about the motivation aspects of it, right? So by age 10, 11, they should have some clarity about what they want to do in life. Maybe a bit young, but it's possible.
Oh gosh, at 25 still don't know.
I still don't know, but yeah.
I always, when I talk to teachers, I always tell them this one phrase. It's not the feeling of a bill, but the lighting of fires that makes a difference in your teaching. I mean, you can get the best tactics and you can best exam strategies, but when a child is not motivated to learn, it's not motivated to learn.
Yeah.
So how do we light fires? Does MOE actually look at strategies to light fires? Why are some teachers much better at lighting fires than others? And most teachers that are ISO 9000 IAM brand cannot.
Yeah. I think a lot of things are apprentice-based. We forgot. Art taught me a lot of things. One of the things it teach me is that art is an apprentice-based teaching. You cannot have somebody who has a degree but doesn't know how to draw come and teach the kids on how to draw. It doesn't work that way. You think about Leonardo da Vinci and all the great artists, they learn through apprenticeship. I think we lost that as well. So I think maybe some of that needs to be rekindled. So I would say if you want to teach art, get artists to come and talk about their craft. If you want to teach, something, right? Photography, maths, whatever it is, get some of these to come share their passion, why it has such deep meaning in their life. I think those are all very, very important aspects of it. It's not just the maths itself or the technique of drawing a line and so on. It's not just that, right? It's beyond it. It's putting the fuel into their motivation tank, right? Then they can go further and help them clarify it as they go. I have a friend whose daughter loves horses, and she's going to be a therapist based on horses. See, that's how you should be finding the passion, aligning what you like to do, what you are good at, and then that intersection will then become the motivation to last a lifetime. Yeah.
Actually, it's funny that it comes to a problem like if your passion and motivation encounters uncompatibility with the economic side. Let's say your passion for, in my case, I was a journalist. I know I wanted to be a journalist since I'm 5. No, actually 7. So 5, I wanted to be a writer. 6, I wanted to be a detective.
Yeah.
7, somebody told me, oh, journalist is pretty kind of mixing both. And I went 15, wanting to be a journalist in China. Fantastic. I covered China news for the French TV.
Yep.
Before being Syria. And then actually, if you look at my industry right now, it was going down big time, right? I mean, everybody for the last 15 years had problems to find a way to do journalism and find a new economic model online. So I went after a few years and after finding a new passion, actually I was lucky enough to be guided by a new passion, and I'm going for startup, which is great because it's better for everybody. So how do you think when your passion is not meeting
Yeah. I think the question is a relevant one. You can have a passion of something, it's so narrow that it becomes isolative in the way that you are dealing with it. And then when it's out of business and economic reality, it is not sustainable. An artist that only worry about his craft and not the ability to sell it will eventually collapse and not be able to sustain, not able to put food on the table, and that's not going to happen, right? So I think there's an economic reality to all the things that you do. Passion, of course, is it, but like I said, motivation and passion is one of 5 things, right? And so you still got to figure out how you operate. You live in a world where there's an economic structure, a social political structure, so you got to live within that, right? So don't take that reality away. So that's why I always tell artist friends, I say, look, you cannot avoid business knowledge. You cannot avoid digital marketing. You cannot avoid the ability to market yourself as an artist, as a professional. You call it business fun and it's dirty. No, it's part of who you are. If you want to be an artist, you must learn how to sell it, right? You may not want to sell it by $1 million, that's up to you. But you still need to be able to put food on the table for your family if you have one, right? Or yourself. So you can't always work on welfare. There's no, well, at least in Singapore, there's no welfare for artists that I know of. So if there's one, let me know. But exactly my point, you don't live in vacuum, right? So even for artists, the successful one, they know how to sell. They know how to market.
So for you, can you go back to Benny?
Okay, let me close the chapter for you then. So I took a year off work in 2012, the whole year, free. I painted, I tested my theory. I had my first exhibition in May, so 5 months I had 300-400 paintings. By then I had about 60-70, which I thought was good enough to exhibit, so I had my first solo exhibition in May. My second in the year after. I'm yet to do my third one, thinking about it. But so as an artist, I'm pretty okay. It's okay as a, but the book was really the motivation. The book and the content was really the motivation. I wanted to put my thoughts around how could someone learn better from zero, right? I mean, I tell you I can't draw today, you'd be thinking I'm lying, right? I must have been drawing since I was a kid. Well, not true. That's why my friend laughed at me. But so I did, and I went back to Accenture in 2013, and then I left a year and a half later. I'm with PwC, so I'm today running a technology practice, Southeast Asia, and that's my day job. I love it. I love my job. I'm very fortunate to love my job. So, yeah. So anyway, that's where I am.
I think the question that I have is about, I'm trying to solve this problem for my family and the people around me. I have no problem with the theory. The theory is completely fine. Once you want to jump into the pool, I think this guides you. It's the part to get them to jump into the pool.
The 0 to 1 is hard.
Yeah. It's not even about. It's like I think everybody knows they need to do something, but how do you get someone on board and say, okay, you know what, you can do more things at one time. My challenge is I really work with this idea, jack of all trades, master of some.
Yep.
And it's so hard for other people to just go like, yeah, it can be done. They don't think it can be done.
Right. think it's also mindset. Like I said, the book addressed some part of this because mindset is where you start. If you think that you need to be born with some skills, you're not going to try. You're not going to even try. And there's a lot of scientific study now that proves this point. So what Carol Dweck tried to do is to start by not changing your habit, but by first changing your mindset. You must believe that if you work hard enough, you will get there. You get it. But it's not. It's that phrase is overused, right? So I don't like the way it sounds in that sense, but it is very, very true. But first start with the mindset that if I draw and draw, eventually I will become reasonably good enough, right? I pass this out. These are my drawings for the last 3 years. It's not world class, but hey, it's me. It's my artwork, right? So I like what I do, and that's what I do, and I keep doing it, right? And this is starting from scratch, from zero, right? It's possible. That's what I'm trying to say. So I hope to inspire people to do it, to take that step, right? To change their life, to upgrade it, to think about their matters, the Japanese garden they need to set up, the tools that they have, about the membership, who they hang out with to improve themselves. Mind, do they have mentor? Do they have books that they're reading? I recognize not everybody really like to read books like myself, but then mentor comes in handy. Classes, workshop. There's so many things you can do. There are 5 things you can do, right? So don't get stuck in the rut. Any of these you can tweak and improve. Sort of what I'm saying. Yeah. So.
Any other questions for Vijay?
No, one suggestion, you should do a series of postcards and sell at SCSG.
He has exhibition, okay? So
Postcards.